You desire to live at peace with God and one another. Participate in prayer and communion online and in person today. Prepare your heart and one or two elements such as wine, juice, crackers, or bread. We welcome you now to set your heart and table for communion.
Peace, friends. It's great to see you this morning. We typically start our services with a little bit of audience interaction and a shout-out question, but for November, we've had some Thanksgiving jokes. So here we go. What do you get if you divide the circumference of a pumpkin by its diameter?
Pie. Pumpkin pie.
Pumpkin pie.
That joke is so irrational.
A joke is so irrational.
That
Thank
joke is
you,
irrational.
math nerd. That's awesome. You guys are so smart. You got it. But feel free to share that, with your friends and family. It's a good one. Okay, we've got some songs to sing this morning. Would you stand with me as you're able, and let's sing together this morning.
Wish I could describe it, but I can't contain it, can't keep it to myself. There aren't enough colors the whole picture. Not enough words to ever say what I found. Wonderful and beautiful and glorious and holy, He is merciful and powerful. Who we talking about? That's my King. We bring glory, give Him all the honor, all together worthy. Who we talking about? That's my King. There's no one before You. Yes, we will adore You. All of us for You. Who we talking about? That's my King. I'm not letting the rocks cry without joining the chorus. There aren't enough notes to make that harmony. It's the song of the angels, through all of the angels. It's our hand and heaven symphony. Wonderful and beautiful and glorious and holy, He is merciful and powerful. Who we talking about? That's my King. We declare the glory, give Him all the honor, all together worthy. Who we talking about? That's my King. There's no one before You. Yes, we will adore You. All of us adore You. Who we talking about? That's my King. That's my King. That's my God. That's my shepherd, my protector. That's my King. That's my rock. That's my anchor, my defender. That's my King. That's my God. That's my shepherd, my protector. That's my King. He's my rock. That's my anchor, my defender. Who we talking about? That's my King. We declare the glory, we give Him all the honor, all together worthy. Who we talking about? That's my King. We declare the glory, give Him all the honor, all together worthy. Who we talking about? That's my King. There's no one before You. Yes, we will adore You. All of this is for You. Who we talking about? That's my King. 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 Good morning. I always love starting service with that song because I'm ready to go now. How about y'all? Hey, I'm from Texas. How about y'all?
Who I am, 'cause I know who You are. The cross of salvation was only the start. Now I am chosen, free and forgiven. I have a future, and it's worth the living. I wasn't made to be tend in a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why would I make burying my shame when a fountain of grace is running my way? I know I am yours. I was made for more. for more. Hallelujah. You call out my name, and I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah. You buried my past, I'm not going back. Hallelujah. You call out my name, and I'll sing out your praise. Hallelujah. You buried my past, and I'm not going back. Oh, I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. So why was I made? Buried in my shame where the fountain of grace is running my way. I know I am yours. I was made for more. I wasn't made to be tending a grave. I was called by name, born and raised back to life again. I was made for more. Why would I make buried in my shame when the fountain of grace was running my way? I know I am yours. I was made for more.
You may be seated, and kids, it's your favorite time of service. Time to run to Kids Creek.
All right.
Not literally.
All right, well, good morning. And
Good morning.
joining me this morning as my co-host is Shelly Moe.
Hello, everyone.
Shelly is active in all kinds of spaces at Sycamore Creek.
Always one at a time, though.
One at a time. I mean, that's not a bad way to do it.
Yes.
So, I'm going to invite you to pull out your connection card.
Yes. Here it is. You want to pull that out, start filling out the front. You can start filling out the back, too, if you like. But give us the information you like. It allows us to contact you and connects you to us as well as us to you.
That's right. And then
we have the selfie time. I will just tell you, it's my least favorite time, but I know you guys like it, and that is great, because we like to see those pictures out there. We like you to share them. We like you to share them with your friends and let them know where you're at on Sunday morning, and maybe they'll come along and join you sometime.
That's right. So post those pictures with the hashtag SCCMI. This morning we are going to receive communion, and we like to just give people a little bit of a heads up, specifically those who are joining us online, so that you have the chance to gather an element or two and be prepared to participate with us later in our service. This morning we are continuing our series, Free from the Love of Money. It's been a pretty powerful series that's built on itself, so maybe you consider going back and watching previous messages, but our message this morning begins with this.
In a culture obsessed with accumulation, achievement, and consumer comfort, it's easy to get swept into the endless drive for more. But what if that pursuit is actually keeping us from the life God wants for us? This 5-week series at Sycamore Creek Church explores how Jesus invites us to be free from the love of money and free for a life of purpose, generosity, and joy. You'll uncover spiritual practices and countercultural truths that help you step off the treadmill and into a posture of gratitude and stewardship. Whether you're living paycheck to paycheck or sitting on a surplus, God's desire is the same: freedom.
Have you ever seen the show Hoarders? I have not seen it. I have some issues with it that I'll share with you in just a minute, but it's sort of part of our culture. It's something that most of us have heard of, at least, and it's something that, came to mind as we were preparing for this message. And so if you aren't familiar with it, here's the trailer for season 11.
It's critical. It's life or death at this point.
These are real people.
I just can't get a grip on it.
Buried by the weight of their things.
He's just overwhelmed. He doesn't know what else to do.
This could be anybody.
We're here to help you.
I love you, and I don't want to see you live like this.
We're here for you. When you gonna get this done?
You're not living a life. You're just living life. This is your chance to get out.
All right. So part of why I struggle with this show is that there's real people here. Real people who are struggling with all kinds of different things. And we can see it's not like the sort of typical accumulation that many of us have. It's not 3 or 4 cats. It's 300 cats in some cases. It goes way beyond typical accumulation, and the show can feel kind of exploitative. Like we're all meant to sit together and like be disgusted at this glimpse into someone else's life. Hoarding is a really tough problem, and it is part of the DSM, which is the sort of standardized diagnostic tool for the American Psychiatric Association, and it classifies hoarding as a mental health disorder. And if you've seen that show, you understand why that might be. Now, part of why I'm mentioning this is because hoarding isn't just hoarding. Hoarding has all kinds of like secondary issues and things. It affects the people in the hoarder's circle. And there are all kinds of things that can lead to a person hoarding. I have a lot of compassion. Part of why I don't watch the show is because I have that compassion and because I can see the ways that trauma can lead someone to hold on to things. But they're constantly battling health issues, evictions, children being taken away, spouses filing for divorce, even physical injury, all connected to this instinct to hoard. It's an illness, and it has huge impacts on other areas of life. But here's the real reason that this is significant for us this morning. This is why I'm bringing this up. If we see someone who hoards 200 chickens, we can pretty easily and pretty quickly say there's something that's not quite right about that. We can see that there's a problem, especially if those chickens are like in your house, right? Here's my question for today. If we can look at that and say, that's a problem, why don't we look at people who hoard wealth as also having a problem? If we can see that one thing is a problem very quickly and easily, why don't we have that same question, that same instinct, that same concern for people who hoard wealth? Why are hoarders of money often applauded while hoarders of things are condemned? We live in a culture where consumption and greed are not just tolerated, they're celebrated. And that constant pressure to hoard and consume more and more and more and more, beyond even the extremes we see on hoarders, it's causing all kinds of problems in our world. The truth is that the culture of consumption is killing us. And if we don't intentionally choose to live a different way, if we don't see that and choose a different way, to choose to resist the hoarding that goes along with this culture of consumption, we will never be free to experience the fullness of life that Jesus is inviting us to. Today we're continuing this series, Free Money, or Free from the Love of Money, and it's based on content from Zach Lambert and Restore Austin, his church out in Texas. And this series is about the principles and practices that will help us to get free from the trap, the lies of consumerism, materialism, and greed. We're wrapping up our deep dive into the Sermon on the Mount, this series that we've been in since September of 2024, where all of our series have been inspired by topics that we find in the Sermon on the Mount. And Jesus talked a lot about money in that sermon. And here's one thing he had to say. He said, "Don't store up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust consume and where thieves break in and steal, but store up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust consumes, and where thieves do not break in and steal. For where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. We like to pause throughout our messages for a little bit of a chance for you to talk and process what we've talked about. And so our first question for discussion is going to be about this idea. I've introduced the message by talking about the show Hoarders, and my primary response to that show and the people on it is compassion. And I wonder if you would be willing to engage in some empathy and compassion with me and with each other and consider why and how a person might get to that place. Ask yourself, what is it that makes us want to accumulate more and more and more? So as you consider hoarding, what comes to mind about why and how we accumulate things? We're going to have 90 seconds on the timer. I want to invite you to turn to someone around you. You can get up and move to a different place. And if you're joining us online, you can put it in the chat. We're going to take 90 seconds and talk about it.
Sometime we should get together.
All right. I hope you had some good conversations. As I thought about this question, there's one thing that comes to mind, and it makes me think about people who have grown up hungry and how there might be an instinct to hoard food. And so it's kind of similar. I grew up, I've shared this before, I'll share more about it next week, but my family didn't have a lot when I was growing up. And so one thing that sticks out in my mind is that my mom had a certain kind of lotion that she liked to get from Clinique in the mall, but she would only ever get it when it was in gift, so that it came with some samples. It came with like a package, like a little bag and like some different things. But then she didn't use them. And so then they would wind up in this tub, and then like she just had like a huge amount. And on the other side of that sort of strategy was that she found all kinds of free things for us to do and experience. And so like she'd figure out when we could go see the symphony, or when we could go to a show, or we'd tape. Back when VCRs were a thing, we taped like musicals from when, I don't know. There was all kinds of things that she did that she went above and beyond to make sure that we had experiences that we wouldn't otherwise experience. And so I sort of live in reaction to some of that. And there have been times, and this was even from her mom, where like they would send me stuff that they didn't need, but it was expired already. And it's like stuff that probably doesn't go bad.
Right.
But also like if you didn't use this 3-pound bag of barley,
what are you going to do with it?
I'm probably just going to throw it away. So then like I have like I sort of would carry the emotional responsibility of throwing things away that I knew we weren't going to use.
Yeah.
But like there was this instinct that like, oh, you might need it in the future, or it might be helpful, or like I spend this money,
Yes.
Okay, that was a lot about me. What about you?
Well, not a hoarder, but definitely have been a collector in my life.
Sure.
And my first thing was precious moments. My aunt had this collection, and of course it was all about how valuable they're going to be someday. This
Like
is
Beanie
an
Babies.
investment, so talk about the marketing and, do you buy into this stuff? And I still have a box downstairs in my basement with precious moments that now I am, of course, trying to figure out how to get rid of. And I will tell you, I did not make 2, 3 times, 4 times more than what I paid. I have lost like 10 times what I paid. Yeah, so there is that whole thing of collecting, and then of course people buy them for you, and going to estate sales was a real eye-opener for me. And people have beautiful things, just beautiful things that they've collected over the years, dishes, lots of money going into this stuff, and nobody wants it. Their kids don't want it. You can't even sell it all at an estate sale,
Yep.
I mean,
it makes you sort of stop and think about the marketing
yes,
that led us to think, oh, this is something I have to get.
Yes.
And I think that's the trap of consumerism, materialism, and greed that we're talking about. And the more aware we are of that, the more that we can make informed choices. And is this really what I want, or am I thinking about the return I might get on this in the future?
Yeah.
So our next segment is going to be for a video from Pastor Mark, and he actually films in his garage, surrounded by some of the things that he's accumulated. So our message continues with this.
So far in Free from the Love of Money, we've covered 2 core principles. Principle 1, it's not just money. The Bible talks about this all over the place. Jesus even personifies money as a spiritual power, mammon, that we're often tempted to place our trust in rather than God. It's not just money. Principle 2 is that we don't own anything. The Bible is also clear from beginning to end that God is the owner and creator and sustainer of all things. Anything that we have is on loan from God. We're stewards of it, managers of it. We are not owners of anything. So those are the first 2 principles that we have covered. And as we approach our first practice today, I want to remind us a little bit that having money, a little bit of it or a lot of it, it isn't inherently bad or sinful, but our posture toward money is vitally important. What we do with the wealth and possessions that God has given us to steward is what matters most, whether we have a little or whether we have a lot. What we do with our money matters. With that in mind, here's our first practice. Practice 1 is only take what you need. Only take what you need. The Bible has a great story about this practice that would have made a perfect episode for Hoarders. It's found in Luke's account of Jesus' life. In Luke, Jesus tells this parable. The ground of a certain rich man yielded an abundant harvest. He thought to himself, what shall I do? I have no place to store my crops. And he said, this is what I'll do. I will tear down my barns and build bigger ones, and there I will store my surplus grain. And I will say to myself, you have plenty of grain laid up for many years. Take life easy, eat, drink, and be merry. But God said to him, you fool, this very night your life will be demanded from you. Then who will get what you have prepared for yourself? This is how it will be for whoever stores up or hoards things for themselves, but is not rich toward God. The man in this story stored up or hoarded things for himself. He wasn't rich toward God. He tore down perfectly good barns and built bigger ones just so he could keep more and more of his stuff. Now we hear this story from Jesus, and well, it seems foolish of the man, right? And so obvious. Who would do something like that? Well, the rich fool may have invented building bigger barns to hold all of this stuff. But Americans, well, we have perfected it. Do you know that there are more than 50,000 storage facilities? Again, that's not individual units, that's storage facilities or complexes for storage in the United States. Now, just for comparison's sake, There's about 14,000 McDonald's franchises in the United States. 14,000 McDonald's franchises compared to 50,000 storage unit facilities. The annual revenue of these storage facilities is $44.3 billion. That's billion with a B annually. And again, for comparison, McDonald's annual revenue is about $26 billion. Dismiss the rich fool all you want, but here in the USA, we've taken hoarding to a whole new level. Just like the man in Jesus' story, our culture teaches us to believe that if we can just store up enough, we'll finally be satisfied. But it's never enough, no matter how much we get. The cycle of acquisition and consumption never stops. Now, hoarding is based on a concept called scarcity. Scarcity is a belief that we'll never have enough, and we must do everything we can to get more and more and more. And there are legit reasons we might have a scarcity mentality. A scarcity mindset, which is all around us, though, is toxic. It's poisoning you. It's poisoning me. It's poisoning many areas of our society. See, scarcity involves the end of getting more, always justifying the means of how we get more. Let me repeat that. Scarcity involves the end of getting more, always justifying the means of how we get more. And as I said earlier, hoarding doesn't just hurt the hoarder. It hurts everyone caught in its wake as well. And while hoarding may lead to great earthly wealth for some, it leads to poverty and to oppression for others. Because when someone gives into the scarcity mindset, it always ends up leaving other people without their basic needs met. If you're struggling to have your basic needs met today, it's because someone else is hoarding. Now I want to share with you a hoarding story about hoarding here in the United States. It starts with the Federal Housing Administration, or the FHA for short. The FHA was established after the passage of something called the National Housing Act of 1934. This act was part of the New Deal under FDR, and it was passed during the Great Depression to make housing and home mortgages more affordable for Americans. Well, for some Americans, at least. In 1935, the FHA asked the Homeowners Loan Corporation, or HOLC, to survey 239 U.S. cities and create something called, quote, residential security maps. Now, these maps would help predict where the federal loans would have the greatest return on investment. The idea was that if the government was going to put money into a community through this New Deal program, the HOLC would predict where they were going to have the best chances of getting the most back. But the HOLC, it didn't just predict. It actively influenced the outcomes through a process called redlining. Now, if any of you have done anything with anti-racism work, you've probably heard about this process of redlining. Redlining was a practice employed by the FHA, which separated 239 U.S. cities into 4 zones through a grading system. So green stood for best, blue stood for still desirable, yellow stood for definitely declining, and red stood for hazardous. Now, the vast majority of neighborhoods receiving the declining and hazardous red grades were made up of racial minorities, mostly Black and Latino, while the communities receiving the still desirable or best grades were almost always exclusively white. One of the 239 cities that was redlined was Lansing, Michigan. Richmond University in Virginia has compiled all the original residential security maps through a project called Mapping Inequality. And they turned them into this amazing interactive website. You can Google it, Mapping Inequality, and find it. It's really incredible. I'm serious, check it out. Through that project, we have a picture of the Lansing map. That's a scan of the original red line map for the Lansing area, and you can see the different parts of Lansing by grade. Look for the green areas, and you'll find historically wealthy and white communities in Lansing. Look at the red areas, and those are the historically Black communities in Lansing. Now let me be clear, it wasn't just that these federally redlined areas didn't get any funding. These maps, just like the one I showed you, became the FHA standards for any kind of loans. not just home mortgages. That meant lenders couldn't get FHA insurance on their loans if they invested in redline communities in any way. And for decades, this led to both public and private entities denying loans for individuals, businesses, and even nonprofits in Black and Latino neighborhoods. Now you might be thinking, hold on, Mark, how do you know that this red line was about race? Maybe all those low grades were given to communities of color and it's just a big coincidence. And here's the thing, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's a coincidence. The bottom line is that the policies of the FHA and of our government disadvantaged Black and Latino neighborhoods. From 1934 to 1962, a time when many white families, including my own grandparents, were purchasing homes and building wealth, $120 billion of new housing was subsidized by the government. Do you know how much of the housing subsidies went to non-white Americans? Less than 2%. Less than 2%. But here's the thing. This wasn't a coincidence. The FHA appraisal manuals distributed during these times, they all came with maps with specific instructions for banks to stay away from redlined areas because they were, quote, filled with inharmonious racial groups. Those are government-issued instructions. This practice of denying loans to people based on their race continued for decades and was not made illegal until 1974 by the Credit Opportunity Act. Instead of looking out for folks suffering through the Great Depression and thinking, how can we uplift all Americans? The federal government thought, how can we help people who look like us and make sure we get the most money possible? So at the height of segregation and Jim Crow, an all-white federal government decided to only give money to white families and white communities, believing that would yield them the most money back. They told the banks, they told other lending organizations to not give out loans for houses or businesses to people in communities of color. Now again, you might be thinking, well, Mark, how do you know the people making the decisions at the federal level were white? Well, this is a really easy one to answer because we have history books and records, and the race and ethnicity of every cabinet member is listed in those history books. The first Black cabinet member took office in 1966. The first Latino cabinet member took office in 1988. 1988. I was 10 years old then. The Great Depression was horrific. Most historians and economic experts agree that the New Deal was vital for lifting us out of it. But who is us? Because although many Americans greatly benefited from the New Deal and our nationwide economic health indicators went up, racial minorities in our country were largely excluded from it. And this action remains. These actions remain one of the most egregious examples of hoarding in our country's history. And we're still feeling the effects of it today. This hoarding based on race and class has led to massive wealth gaps, which are getting worse today. For instance, in 2016, due to the ongoing devaluation of property in historically redlined areas, predominantly white school districts received $23 billion more in state and local funding than predominantly non-white school districts. That's almost $2,000 more per student. That's directly saying that this white student is worth $2,000 more a year than this student of color. I could go on and on about economic impacts in our country, but I'm going to end with this one final example. The median wealth level for a white family with kids in the United States is $291,901. For a Latino family with kids, it's $45,900. For a Black family with kids, it's $20,970. Let me be really clear. None of these statistics are caused by the inferiority of a particular race or ethnicity. Racial wealth gaps exist because of practices and policies of hoarding. Hoarding. That is why they exist. And we should all care about this because, again, hoarding hurts everyone. I'm going to give you a moment to process and to digest this example of hoarding. So here's our next question for discussion. What is your response to hearing about the practices and policies of hoarding here in the United States? Let's take a moment and let's wrestle with that together.
All right. This was a heavy segment, a heavy conversation.
Yes.
I feel a lot of grief and a lot of anger. What comes to mind for you?
Well, my blood pressure probably went up a little bit when I heard the inharmonious racial groups. You know, such a classification. And I thought, and it's maybe a little gentler way, but it sure is still.
It's clear.
Yes, the meaning is there, that these are people we don't want to help, people that aren't worthy. And it makes me angry and think about how this has gone on for decades, you know, and it's just sad.
It makes me feel a little overwhelmed too, at like how long it's gone on in this way, and like what is the hope, what is the path for like repairing any of that. I'll talk about this more at our celebration of giving later in the service, but I got to go to the Justice League's annual dinner on Friday night with our vision team, our elder board, and just hearing about what they're doing to repair that racial wealth gap in the greater Lansing region, and the invitation to predominantly white houses of worship and also white folks to be part of repairing that racial wealth gap. So if you're interested in more about that, I'd love to share that with you, even love to just connect you to the Justice League of Greater Lansing. I mean, it's good. It's a good program and a step that we can all take in some way or another. Yes. So let's continue on with our message here. You know, I think we should all care about this. I think probably you do. I think that if we're all, if you would call yourself a follower of Jesus, I think we should really, 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 really care about this, because God is generous. And the opposite, and hoarding is the opposite of generous. From the opening pages of Genesis to the end of Revelation and everywhere in between, our scriptures are full of God calling us to take only what we need and to give the extra away to those who don't have enough. That's generous. As the Israelites made their way out of Egypt and into the promised land, God gave them enough manna, just enough bread from heaven for one day at a time. And God told them, don't take more than you need. Only take what you need. And when some people tried to hoard it, to take more than they needed, the next morning they found that it was eaten with maggots. It was spoiled. God essentially said to them, take only what you need. The author of the wisdom book of the Bible, Proverbs, prayed, give me neither poverty nor riches, but give me just enough to satisfy my needs. And when Jesus taught us to pray, he told us to ask God to provide our daily bread. No more, no less. In Hebrews, the early followers of Jesus were instructed to keep their lives free from the love of money and to be content with what they had. Again and again and again in the Bible, the message from God is clear. God is generous, and hoarding is the opposite of generous. So when someone takes more than we need, so when we're talking about hoarding here, we're talking about someone who has enough and then is taking more than that. And when that happens, that means that someone who doesn't have enough continues to go without what they need. Scripture speaks to this universal truth. In Ecclesiastes, it says, "Don't be surprised if you see a poor person being oppressed by the powerful, and if justice is being miscarried throughout the land. For every official is under orders from higher up, and matters of justice get lost in the red tape and bureaucracy. Even the king milks the land for his own profit. Those who love money will never have enough. How meaningless to think that wealth brings true happiness." I mean, that message was written thousands of years ago, and yet it's still incredibly relevant to us today. It could have been written easily about redlining in America or a variety of other greed-induced practices of oppression that are fueled by hoarding and fueled by this scarcity mindset. And the problem is that scarcity is a lie. There's plenty to go around. If only we stop hoarding our resources and we begin sharing with others, we'll find that there's enough for everyone. We've made this grave mistake of believing that the answer to scarcity is affluence. We believe that the answer to scarcity is to get more and more and more and more for me. But it's not. The opposite of scarcity isn't affluence. The opposite of scarcity is enough. It's enough. By now, I hope that you're convinced of a few truths, that God is generous and hoarding is the opposite of generous. That hoarding hurts everyone, the hoarder and the people caught in its wake, and that we are called by God to only take what we need. Throughout the entirety of Scripture, God's people are called to only take what we need and to give any extra that we have to people who don't have enough. I'm trying to be super clear here because we have to intentionally move away from our consumeristic society. If we don't actively choose to only take what we need, then our natural bent toward consumption will eat up every last resource that God has given us to steward. We have to be really intentional about only taking what we need. So how do we do that? Well, first we have to get honest with ourselves. We have to be honest about our tendency to hoard and consume, because here's the thing. Hoarding isn't always extravagant or wasteful. This is tough. This is a tough truth to swallow. It's tough for me to wrestle with. Like, I'm not up here standing like I have it all together. I don't. Hoarding isn't always extravagant or wasteful or over the top. Sometimes we hoard under the guise of building security or investing in the future or being really good at saving money. Now, I'm all for saving money. I'm all for investing in the future. But there's a fine line between doing that in a healthy way and being the rich fool. It's hard to know where that line is. It's hard to know where that line is. And it's easy to believe that the security that you're storing up by your hoarding is going to lead you and your children and your children's children to happiness and contentment because you have enough money to give them. But that's not where our hope and happiness are found. So we have to really wrestle with this question: do I have more than I need? And for most of us, the answer is going to be a yes, an unequivocal yes, because most of us have extra. Here's an extra test. Let's see how we do here, right? Like, if you've ever looked at a drawer or a closet of clothes and thought to yourself, I don't have anything to wear, then you probably have extra. I'm guilty of that. If you've ever paid anything for entertainment in the last year for Netflix, concerts, movie tickets, etc. You probably have extra. Also guilty of that. If you've ever upgraded, and by that I mean you've taken something that works, like a phone or a car, an apartment, a television, upgraded to something else that works, you probably have extra. Yep, I've done that. If you have spent more than $2 on a cup of coffee, you probably have extra. Yes, also, all the things, right? If you've ever gotten an Amazon package that you ordered and you don't know what's in it, you probably have extra. I mean, that doesn't typically happen to me, but around the holidays, I gotta admit, sometimes I'm like, I forget who I ordered what for, and I don't know what this is, right? This is me. I'm right there with you. This is not easy to figure out. And sometimes the extra that we're spending, maybe that is to be generous with someone else. Like, it's not clear all the time, but it's something we have to wrestle with. It's something that we have to grapple with, because most of us have extra. And the point here is not so much how much extra we have, it's what we do with the extra that we have. Like, we sort of assume that our extra is for us to hoard and consume, because that's what the world tells us. And there's a part of us that wants that. There's a part of us that always wants more. No, we don't really like what I'm saying right now. I don't really even like what I'm saying right now. I gotta be honest with you. We like to say that the extra we have is ours to spend and save because that makes us feel better about it. But what we're really saying in those moments is that our extra is for us to hoard and consume. So what would happen? What would happen if we began to see our extra as an opportunity to help those who don't have enough? What if we saw our extra as something given to us by God to help others, to give to others? I think everything would change, right? Not just for the person who's receiving, but also for the person who gives. So we're going to take a minute to respond to this idea and to talk about it. I want to take this opportunity to remind you that you do not have to talk about the question that I give you. It is okay I'm not going to walk around, it's not like a pop quiz. You can be inspired by it or not, or you can talk about this. It's just a place to start. So here's our question. Do you have extra? And if you do, how would it change your view of that extra if you were looking for ways to help those who don't have enough? So again, to turn to someone around you, and if you're joining us online, you can put it in the chat. We're going to have 90 seconds to talk about this. I know, right? I think I'm on. All right. Let's all agree that this is a tough topic. Mm-hmm. And it's like in some ways it is straightforward, but then in a lot of ways it's really not. And we didn't talk about this so much, but like I grew up in a faith tradition that was like, is retirement even biblical? Mm. Like, should you really even save? Like, you should just keep working. And like, I don't think that's. I don't necessarily
agree with that. I love retirement.
Right? Like, and you're not. And I've talked to some other people. Like, retirement doesn't mean you're not doing anything.
No. Oh.
I mean, you do take care of yourself, but you also do a whole lot of volunteering in our community, and you show up that extra time that you have now. You're giving back to your community. And sometimes, like, the extra that I might have, if I'm using that to go out to eat one day, then maybe that's because my mental load is too high and I'm spending time with my family in a meaningful way instead of yelling at them while I'm making dinner. Like, you know, and also, I have room to be more generous.
Yes. Yeah. I think we all do. And so I do look for ways. And as I love my retirement and that I can, you know, I can have it. But it does allow me to serve in more ways and serve a broader group of people, you know, not just at Sycamore Creek. There's, you know, other things I can do as well. And so that I'm still working, but just in a different way. So it is great. But I do realize as I get older too that I need a whole lot less, and it's a lot easier to go, I don't need that. I don't need that. You know, and, you know, I have a friend and her family, they only buy groceries for like a week at a time, which to me is another great way of reducing waste. Because I used to be kind of, you know, keeping things, you know, stocked in the cupboards in case somebody came over, or my son and his friends. And so even that is like, I don't need to go to the grocery store, you know, all the time if I have food in my... So it's like, okay, I need to work on emptying that freezer out, because that is a place I go sometimes is to hoard some of that food, and I like, it goes to waste, and I don't need it. I have to start doing what they do.
Yeah. This next segment is going to be another video segment, and sort of bridging the gap between our conversation and what's coming next. It made me think about like, sometimes like shopping your own home is what I call it. Sometimes like my kid came to me with a list of like, I want all these things for back to school shopping. I was like, well, let's look through the house, because I bet we have a lot of it. And we had like 75% of the things on her list we already had in our house. But it would have been really easy to just take her to the store and buy a bunch of stuff. And so that it's kind of like that idea.
In the dollar store, they're cheap. So,
that's true.
So why not buy them?
All right, let's continue on. We have one more segment, and it's a video segment. So here we go.
Now, not everyone is called to sell everything they have and give all the money to the poor like Jesus told the rich young ruler to do. And if you remember that story from the Bible, that story is descriptive of a particular event. And I don't think it's prescriptive. It's not what everyone is supposed to do. This call from God to only take what we need and use the rest to help others, we are all called to that, but it's going to look different for different people. It's going to look different for me than it is going to look for you. But it does require some self-examination and some spending examination. Now, I want to introduce you to Ann Patchett. For her, changing her relationship with money and stuff looked like not shopping for 12 months. So back in 2017, Ann wrote an opinion piece for the New York Times called My Year of No Shopping. And in it, she talked about her growing disdain for a materialistic culture and how she decided to spend a year not buying anything she didn't absolutely need. She came up with her own set of rules for the year. So she bought grocery items, toiletries, batteries, other things that are consumables, but only after she had completely run out of them. And this was a practice Ann used to evaluate her consuming and her spending. It's a practice that points to our own need to evaluate our consuming and our spending. So at one point in her year, Ann ran out of lip balm. And she talks about how she decided to look for more before she bought more. She looked through her desk drawers and through her coat pockets, and she found 5 tubes. She did the same thing with lotion and with soap and with hair products, finding enough of them under her sink and in other places to last 3 years. This is shopping in your own home from what you already have. And as Anne reflected on her year without consumption in this article, she said, once I could see what I already had and what actually mattered, I was left with a feeling that was somewhere between sickened and humbled. When did I amass so many things, and did someone else need them? Now, Anne acknowledges that not shopping for a year hardly made her one with the poor. What Anne did is not going to work for everyone or really solve anything, but it did help open her eyes to how she could help others with her extra. She concluded, if you stop thinking about what you might want, it's a whole lot easier to see what other people don't have. Once I was able to get past the want and be honest about the need, it was easier to give more of my money to people who could really use it. Anne is pointing us toward practices, like looking over what we already have before buying more, that help increase satisfaction with what we have. Like Anne, if we are able to get past the want and be honest about what we really require to live, what we really need, it becomes so much easier to use our extra to help people who don't have enough. Now, this is obviously going to help the people who've been hurt by oppressive hoarding practices, but listen to me. It's going to help you too. It's going to help you too, because listen to what Jesus says right before he tells the story of the rich fool. This is for me and this is for you. Jesus said to them, watch out. Be on your guard against all kinds of greed. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. There is no life in wealth and possessions. There is no life in the endless cycle of accumulation and consumption. There is no life in having the nicest car, the latest phone, or storage units filled with extra stuff. There's no life in it. And we all know this. And yet so many of us spend our entire lives pursuing more and more and more. If we're not careful and intentional about how we use our resources, the internal and external pressure of consumption, it's going to win out. If we don't make intentional choices, the choices to consume and to acquire and to hoard will be made for us. So here's my final question for us today. Do you want abundance of possessions? Or do you want an abundant life? Jesus was clear. Life does not consist in an abundance of possessions. We cannot pursue an abundance of possessions and experience an abundant life. We cannot serve both God and money. God is generous, and hoarding is the opposite of generous. Hoarding hurts everyone. We are called by God to only take what we need. So let's do it. Let's stop hoarding and consuming our extra because it only hurts us and our neighbors. Let's only take what we need. And let's give any extra we have to folks who don't have enough. We belong to each other. Let's do this together. Amen.
Amen. We're going to move now into a time of receiving communion together. And this is a reminder for us that God has been generous to us in so many ways, always moving toward us to engage in relationship with us even when we have not been faithful. Over and over, from the time of creation, through the prophets, through Israel's the Old Testament. Then Jesus came, showed us what it was to live in a way that trusted in the generosity of our generous God. Jesus gave himself. And on the night before Jesus gave himself for us, he gathered with his disciples, with those who were following him, and he took the bread and he gave thanks to God. He said, "This is the bread of the new covenant, which is given for you." There's an invitation for us to receive this bread together and remember the generosity of Jesus. And when the meal was over, he took the cup And he gave thanks to God, and he said, "This is the blood of the new covenant, which is given for you. Do this in remembrance of me." All those who desire to live at peace with God and at peace with others, or who want to live at peace with God and others, are invited to participate in this meal together, this remembrance of who Jesus is and who God is to us. This remembrance that we're connected to the body of Christ across time and space. We're part of something bigger than the people you see in this room, but we're connected to the people you see in this room. So you do not have to be a member, a partner of Sycamore Creek. You do not have to be anything other than wanting to live at peace with God and peace with others to receive this morning. I'm going to invite those who are serving our communion elements to come on up. We have some hand sanitizer here on either side of this TV, so I want to invite you to get that. So you're going to approach the person. We're going to have 2 lines coming up each aisle, and you're going to approach the person who has the bread, and you'll give them your name. And then they'll say, "The body of Christ, which is given for you," and your name. And then you'll take that piece, tear off a piece of bread and give it to you, and then you'll dip it in the cup, and they'll say, "The blood of Christ, which is given for you." And then you can go ahead and receive the communion there, and then make your way back to your seat. There are self-contained elements that are also gluten-free, which are in the back of our space. There you go. And so, God, we ask that you would send your Spirit on this bread, on this cup. May these elements be for us the body and the blood of Christ, as we are your body, your arms, your legs, your hands in the world around us. We pray this in the name of Jesus. The table is set, friends. I invite you to come and receive.
kick it down, that you don't tear it down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. There's no wall you won't kick down, that you don't tear down, coming after me. No shadow you don't light up, mountain you won't climb up, coming after me. No wall you don't kick down, that you won't tear down, coming after me. There's no shadow you won't light up, mountain you don't climb up, coming after me. No wall you won't kick down, that you don't tear down, coming after me. Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Chases me down, fights till I'm found, leaves of 99. I couldn't earn it, I don't deserve it. Can you give yourself to me? Oh, the overwhelming, never-ending, reckless love of God. Yeah, yeah.
Would you join me now in saying the prayer that the Lord taught his disciples? Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom and the power and the glory forever. Amen. Amen. We have some opportunities for you to connect with other folks in the community and give of your time. And so I want to invite you to pull that connection card back out. We're going to give you a little bit more information. We've got some next steps on the back, and we also have a space for prayer requests. If you have something that's weighing on you that you'd like some other folks to be praying for, go ahead and write that in that section. So here are our next steps, and we're going to tell you a little bit more about those. So,
the Compassion Closet. We are doing great, but we can continue to do greater. There is lots of need out there, and so this is a way that we can provide people with items that they can't purchase with their SNAP, money, and so there's huge need. So, way to go, but let's keep going.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know that, like, the SNAP benefit, which you pay for with the EBT card, it will not process transactions for things that are not on the list of approved items. So, like, these are things that, like you said, people can't get with the SNAP benefit. So, tonight, it's tonight, y'all. It's the Teen Fuel Nerf Challenge. It's here at South Lansing. If you have or know of a 6th to 12th grader that would like to shoot people with a Nerf dart and run all over this building and sweat real good, bring them down. We do need them to fill out, or a parent or guardian to fill out a waiver form. You should have gotten an email this week from me. Let me know if you didn't get that, but that email with other information about South Lansing should have a link to the waiver, so make sure to fill that out. We do take safety precautions, and also, it's good to have a waiver. So.
Yes, always. And then we're decking the halls here next Sunday after service. So, yes, we'll have pizza lunch again, and so if you can help with that, the more hands, the merrier. Yeah. And I know Teresa Miller is leading that. I think there's some people meeting today to talk about some of that design and those real creative people. And I just want to say something about the Nerf Challenge. Is when Sue Connectus was up here and talked about it and said, adults ought to be able to do that. So when the small group team got together after that, you're going to see that probably in the next group link.
Literally, all I can think is we need to make sure the adults sign waivers too.
Yes, yeah. You're going to have to wear eye protection. You're going to have to sign,
But maybe the adults can participate and shoot the teenagers.
Oh, well, they're shooting you back, though.
That's true. We'll figure something out. It'll be great fun. So mark your connection cards. Let us know what you're interested in joining us for. And then when you finish filling that out, drop it in the blue bucket at the end of your row. If you brought in a financial gift, you can put that into the envelope that's in your program or scan. Well, you can put it in the envelope and drop it in the blue bucket. You can also give by scanning the QR code. We're really thankful for your giving. It helps make everything here possible. And today we're celebrating one thing that your giving helped make possible, which is that our vision team, our elder board, went to the Justice League annual fall dinner on Friday night. There were some other folks from Sycamore Creek there. It was very exciting to see 6 other people from Sycamore Creek there. But this table that you see right in front of you is like our vision team, our board. And so that was a really meaningful experience and was a good thing for our vision team to experience. So thank you for your giving that helped make that possible. We have a couple more songs, or one more song to sing, actually. Would you stand with me as you're able, and let's sing together?
I was buried beneath my shame. Who could carry that kind of weight? It was my tomb till I met you. I was breathing but not alive, and all my failures I tried to hide. It was my tomb till I met you. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. You called my name, and I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness into your glorious day. Sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, but you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken,
joining us this morning. I hope that you will be back next week as we continue this series. As you go, I have a question for you. We're decorating for Christmas here next week. So when do you decorate your house for Christmas? So as you go, talk about it as you go. And next week, we're continuing our series with episode 4. Until then, be curious, be creative, be compassionate. Go in peace, friends.
I needed rescue, my sin was heavy, but chains break at the weight of your glory. I needed shelter, I was an orphan, but you called me a citizen of heaven. When I was broken, you were my healing. Now your love is the air that I'm breathing. I have a future, my eyes are open. My name, I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day. You called my name. I ran out of that grave, out of the darkness, into your glorious day.